right, once again, good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you to upGrad's webinar on affordable degrees for Indians in US, Canada, and Australia. My name is Ayushi, and I will be your host for the day. So our topic is affordable degrees, right? And I would like to sort of discuss on the lines that, getting an opportunity to study abroad is almost every Indian kid's dream. However, the advent of COVID has put many of the students' dreams to study abroad at risk. At risk, rather, it's made it impossible for them. And as governments tightened the travel bans, students were forced to reassess their decision to seek higher education from overseas. Despite the risks, even now, more than 91% of Indian students still have a strong desire to study abroad, and they would want to travel back as soon as they were permitted to do so. So right now, I think the only remaining questions that we have is when will the travel bans will be lifted like completely, which we started seeing has started to begin now, and also which place should one study given the current political and economic current scenario. To guide us through this current climate, we have Mr. Praneet Singh from upGrad Abroad. So he heads the study abroad vertical as the head of partnerships. Welcome, Praneet, sir.
I am grateful to you for giving me this chance, and it's an absolute pleasure. I look forward to a meaningful discourse here, and will ensure that the discussion hereafter is quite insightful.
Absolutely. Certainly. Great, sir. So I think let's just get started with the questions. So I think the first question we would have for you is, how are the current government policies aligned to ensure all the students in India get an access to global education?
Right, of course. So with the onset of the new NEP, the National Education Policy, I think they've highlighted two main components of the K-12 education system, one of which is that students now need to be exposed to an internationalized education system, which means they need to globally educate themselves. They need to have enough faculty interactions from abroad. They need to be exposed to the ecosystem of how experiential education can be imparted, how hands-on learning can be imparted, how we can sort of learn and impart in our schools and in our colleges more and more best case practices from abroad, and see where that can take us. And the second part is that the government now wants that there should be a more foreign university connect, that more and more experienced faculties, more and more established thought leaders can actually influence the K-12 education setup and orchestrate a meaningful impact on these kids, so that any child studying in a school in India is no different than an American student when they go to the university. So they're brought at par. That's what the Indian newly launched NEP hints at.
Absolutely, rightly said, sir. Definitely, I think the government is finally taking its part to sort of blur the lines of even the education, as in making it just at the same level as there was so much difference when we used to think about education in India and abroad, and I think it's high time that the government has started making those changes. And I think this policy has come in. We've got with this policy after 37 years. So I'm glad that this is taking place. So, sir, the next question that I would have for you is, how does upGrad's accelerator program cohere with the NEP policy?
Right. Well, that is an excellent thing to talk about here. I think let me first tell our viewers what the accelerator program is all about. So, we thought of a concept that how do we ease any student's journey into the academic rigor of what an education system outside India actually entails or brings along with itself. So how do we ease their journeys into that setup? And how do we ensure that we have a global experience, that they start local, but that these learners can actually fully immerse, establish, and foray into these universities abroad and actually champion the academic rigor of these universities. And I think that is how it stuck to us, that what we want to do here is we give these students a chance to pursue two tracks. One is a BBA track, one is a BCA track, open to everybody, regardless of what stream they're coming from in 12th. They study for a year or two with us. They save about 40 lakhs of rupees. And then we finally handhold them and transition them to a campus abroad, to a degree and a majors of their choice. So the idea is that in those first 2 years, not only are they saving money, but they're also understanding and sort of immersing themselves deeply into the education system abroad. The academic curriculum of those universities is mapped to our Indian university partners. So whatever they are studying is fully accepted abroad. So 2 years they spend here, they save about 40 lakhs. And then for the final 2 years, the final 3 years, they're actually moving outside India, transitioning to the campus into third year or second year, depending on what degree are they doing with us. And then they choose which major is it that they want, and which degree do they want to capstone their education with. Now, coming back to the point that you raised, that how does this fall in concurrence or in sync or consistent to the NEP that India has just come up with? I think that's what the whole idea is about, that not only are we getting more foreign universities to India by wielding technology, and so we can give this an unprecedented scale, accessibility, affordability, and the democratization of any education system. So you pick up the BBA track with us, and there are 100 different majors you can choose from, and about 4 different countries you can choose from, and about 12 campuses that we've got in UK, Australia, Canada, and the US. So that's the amount of accessibility that we've given, or that we intend to give the learner. And the second thing is, of course, while they study with us in India, we have given them the academic curriculum of some of the finest universities in the world that are our partner universities. So I think that's what the NEP largely states, that how do we make sure that somebody in the remotest parts of India, somebody in any corner of the world, can still access a high quality of education if they're connected to technology? That's what upGrad is all about anyway, right?
That's brilliant, rightly said, sir. And I think with this initiative of accelerator program, students not only get the opportunity to get a global exposure, but exposure in their own country. As you mentioned, if they will be staying here, they will prepare themselves better while they are living here, and also will get opportunities, you mentioned, while there.
Absolutely. So I think one of the finest aspects of this program is, while they're still in India, and while they're still pursuing the requisite course credits that they need to transition to the campus abroad through us, they can pursue any amount of internships. They can work alongside, they can follow the apprenticeship model. But the idea is that so many education systems now in Finland, which is one of the world's finest K-12 education setups, we've got Germany, we've got the US, we've got Singapore, we've got UK. So many of these countries have schools and colleges that allow hands-on experiences from the year one. They want that every education received inside the classroom should be applied outside, alongside their education system, so that the student has more access to hands-on learning, so the students can actually experientially develop the concept retention also, and also understand deeply what are they being taught, and there's a very important word here called vocationalized. So when these students learn these skills inside the classroom, and they can take up any amount of internships in India and vocationalize what they're learning, and see. So I have been to Finland, I've been to Germany, and I've sort of interacted with these instructors firsthand, as in, why do they want somebody studying in college to start working from year one? How do they think? So the approach is that they want the student from very early on to understand and realize what career path are they more suitable for, what skills are they willing to learn, and what is the precision ability that they have with certain skills, right? So that is why we've designed this. So the policy and the upGrad system goes hand in hand, because we're trying to ensure that students can future-proof their vocations 5 years from now, but also have or possess the necessary skill set that's going to keep them relevant in a world that's going to be largely dominated by artificial intelligence, right? So for a student to be very aware about his exact or her exact skill set, that's very important. So that is where the accelerator program comes into the picture and solves that problem for these students, and they end up having an international experience. So if I'm studying in India with upGrad, not only am I having an Indian work experience through the internships I pursued through upGrad while I was studying for the accelerator program, but also when I finally transitioned to Australia, I also have the Australian experience. So by the time I actually sit for a placement, I have work experiences in 2 different parts of the world.
I think that is a great initiative, sir. And students not only get a global exposure, they get the exposure from their own country. They're able to save up to 40 lakhs of cost for their education, and I think it's an incomparable opportunity, and definitely something that students should take advantage of. So actually, also in the meantime, I would like the attendees to feel free to put their questions in the chat box. So, sir, will be more than happy to take questions like during and after the session. So, if you have any questions in regards to higher education, their study abroad plans, or anything related to studying abroad, they can put it in the comment section, right? So, the next question that I have is, how does upGrad bring affordability to regular study abroad programs? Because we know study abroad programs are very expensive whenever you plan to study abroad. There's so many costs involved: the living costs, the basic costs, the traveling costs. How does sort of it makes the life easier for an Indian student?
Right. So upGrad's accelerator program gives students in India to transition from an Indian education system to 4 different parts of the world for bachelors. And we've got Germany for their masters. For pursuing their UG degrees right after school, they've got UK as an option, Canada as an option, the United States as an option, and Australia as an option. So while they pursue their year 1 in India, they can do it online or they can do it on campus. Both the options are fully available. If they're working for 1 semester, they can pursue it online. And for the other semester, if they're not working somewhere, they can just go to campus and start receiving the education. Once they get or acquire the requisite amount of credit, that is when they can transition to 4 different campuses, 4 different countries, and then further we've got a few university partners in each of these partner universities. Now, coming back to the point, the affordability is brought into perspective in 2 different ways. One is, what does your year 1 in India cost like? Now that is standardized. I mentioned we've got 2 tracks. One is a BBA track, one is a BCA track. The BBA track costs about 2.52 lakhs, regardless of which country do they want to eventually transition to, regardless of which university do they eventually want to transition to, regardless of which majors do they want to pick, it doesn't differ. The first year cost is standard, it's 2.52 lakhs. Now, one of our partner countries that we're working with is Australia, which has a 3-year degree. So there, only 1 year in India has to be pursued, with the last 2 years being pursued in Australia on campus in our partner universities. The second is the 4-year degrees in the US, Canada, and UK. So that will be a 2+2 setup, right? So the first 2 years are in India, the last 2 are in Canada or the US. That can also be switched to 1+3. So students can pursue 1 year in India, followed by 3 years on campus. The first year, I told you, costs 2.52 lakhs, and the last 3 years are as per the university fee. We give them a lot of scholarships, a lot of financial aid. On top of that, also for all upgrad learners. Now, for the BCA track, which gives them engineering degrees in the US, it gives them engineering degrees in Australia, it gives them engineering degrees in the UK. All of those are also standardized. So the first year is going to be 2.55 lakhs instead. And the last three are are on campus as per the university fee, or the last two. Now, in these cases, when we're talking about a 4-year degree, the second year is standardized and would cost 1.55 lakhs, right? 1.55 lakhs in cases of US and Canada. Similarly, and likewise, the BBA year 2 will cost 1.5 lakhs. So the point is, 4 lakhs, within 4 lakhs rupees, these students are pursuing both the years in India. That's almost a saving of 40 lakhs of rupees. That's how we're bringing affordability. The second part, how we've demarcated the cost, is the university fee. Now, all our university partners, all of them, whether we talk about Australian universities or British universities or Canadian universities or the US universities, all of them give special scholarships and financial aid programs or bursaries for upgrad learners. I mean, a degree that costs you about 1 crore rupees in the US, a STEM degree or a software engineering degree, is costing our learners about 30 lakhs of rupees. So we've cut down the cost by almost 70 lakhs of rupees, because not only are students able to pursue the first 2 years and 4 lakhs cumulatively, but the last 2 years they're getting scholarships of 10,000 USD every year. So 15 lakhs of rupees is a further scholarship on what, on top of what they're paying in the last 2 years in America. So on and so forth. Now, affordability part is largely beyond our control when you talk about the university fee. So we've got 4 universities in Australia. We've got James Cook University, we've got Deakin University, we've got Torrens University, and we've got University of Canberra. Now, all of them have a different fee structure. It starts from Torrens at about 22,000 AUD, and Deakin would largely cost them about 30,000 AUD a year. So that largely depends, but Deakin also gives them a 25% waiver if they score well in their board exams in 12th grade. So, and then in Canada, we've got Yorkville University and we've got UCW, University Canada West. Now, both of them should ideally range between, say, about, I think, largely somewhere around 20,000 CAD, right? So I think an entire degree in Canada should cost them about 25 to 27 lakhs instead of 80 lakhs, right? So the first 2 years are 4 lakhs. Then if you further want to study, it's going to be about 10 to 12 lakhs, between 10 to 12 lakhs in Canada, right? So I'm saying, even though the fee abroad is largely out of control, but we are still ensuring that for upgrad learners, all of our university partners are actually giving out a lot of scholarships.
It's nice that you mentioned that, sir. I mean, students still, I mean, I'll include myself, studying abroad has always been a dream. And I think the cost has always been a major issue when people used to, plan to study abroad. I mean, they think different factors, but when it comes to cost, people, sort of get back. They're like, oh, this is very expensive. Maybe we'll go for masters. But if you get an opportunity to gain the same education at such a less cost, I mean, why won't one take an opportunity when the cost is you're reducing the cost from 1 crore to somewhere around 30 lakhs. I think it's incomparable. And I think you've got some really great universities partnering with you, and getting universities on the top rankings and getting access to get education from such top universities at such a less cost. I think it's brilliant. And also, since you've mentioned these online programs, I think it's going to be very useful during the COVID, because people can stay here and not waste their 1 year to study abroad, right? As in doing their first year in here, and then even while in the pandemic, they don't actually have to travel to the country, save on the costs. And if I'm right, sir.
Sure, sure. So when we're looking at a learner who's already graduated this year out of high school, right? Uh, while these learners have been eagerly waiting for borders to open up, for the visa processes for international students to be more relaxed, to be more accessible, and to open, fully, I think we're still looking at September 22 intake as the next best intake. So we're saying that instead of deferring your academic plans to the next year September, you've got one full year, that you have to while away. So through upGrad's accelerator program, what we're largely saying is you pursue that 1 year with us, pursue the requisite course credits, and once you've done that, in September 2022, you can move between Canada, Australia, UK, or the US directly into year two, right? Uh, so that is, the beauty of it, that do not while away your time, finish the requisite course credits, take the exams, and then directly transition into year two. We've also got a question: how do we transition and whom do we contact if you're already pursuing bachelor's degree with upgrad from Indian University like CU, want to get in the abroad program? So Fahad, you can definitely get in touch with us. Ms. Jain is going to brief you towards the end, but I'll also like to answer you that you can write to me. My name is praneet.singh at upgrad.com. Is my email address. So my name followed by at upgrad.com. I've sent it to you on the same format in which you asked me the question. You can definitely get in touch with me. I think our first year partner is Chandigarh University, which will make it very seamless for you to transition to the study abroad program. And we could definitely assist you. That should not be any problem at all.
Right. And so, what would be the eligibility criteria for this, sir? Like, can anyone access this opportunity, or is it limited?
So, we've got a lot of university partners in these 4 countries that will largely operational it. We've got one of our partner university called Deakin. Now, apart from Deakin, every other university partner that we have needs 50% marks as a minimum in their grade 12th result. With Deakin, we need 70% marks at least to enter into Deakin University through the upGrad Accelerated program, right? For every other university, so I'll name a few. We've got James Cook University in Australia. We've got University of Canberra in Australia. We've got Torrens University in Australia. We've got Yorkville University in Canada. We've got University Canada West in Canada. We've got Northern Arizona University in the US. All of them require 50% marks as a minimum in your boards. And that is it. We don't need anything more than that. Even your IELTS score isn't required. We will train you with IELTS. I think one of the things I haven't mentioned yet is each time a student goes abroad from India, starts studying there, or be it from any part of the world, when you study at an American campus or an Australian campus or a British campus, there are certain 0 credit courses that you have to pursue, with one of which is academic writing, academic integrity, academic referencing. So we make sure that you're not only getting the requisite amount of Australian education hours or American education hours in form of the course curriculum that we have articulated or mapped along with our Indian partners, but what you're also getting is the study abroad module, under which we will train you for IELTS. We will coach you for IELTS. We will teach you all of those modules like academic writing, referencing, academic integrity, academic or business communication. All of that has been structured into a module that goes on with along with your semester 1. So we do take the onus on us that when you transition to the campus abroad, you are fully equipped, you are fully ready, you are fully at par with a student who's just, sort of entered the second year, but has also done the first year from the very campus that, you've entered in second year. So somebody who started right on campus from the beginning, and you who's transitioning from India, the two of you should be at par. So that is why we try to also teach you the zero credit courses that are imperative and, you know, indispensable to your academic success in these countries.
Right, sir. That is great to know, sir. So you mentioned that students will be getting an opportunity to get the understanding of education even before moving to the country. And then again, we have the cost reduction, we have vocational planning, vocational training even before going to the country and preparing yourself beforehand when you actually go and see a new country. And they also get the opportunity to sort of be more familiarized with at least the academic environment, so they don't get that culture shock when they visit the country, which is, I think, a great start. So sir, I also wanted to know, would students be getting the opportunity to work after they've completed the accelerator program? As in the sense, would they get the access to post-study work visa after they've completed their bachelor's?
Right. I think that's one of the largest and the most sought after benefits of our accelerator programs, right? The number one thing is whether these students go for a 1+3 democratized setting of hybrid or a 2+2 democratized setting, that 2 years in India followed by 2 years abroad, 1 year in India followed by 3 years abroad. They do get an access to the same length of post-study work visa as any regular student starting from year one on campus, right? So there's no difference. In Canada, it's 3 years. Now in America, one of the wonderful aspects of our program is that our program gives them STEM degrees. Now, STEM degrees would mean that instead of the 1 year regular post-study work visa that is granted to American graduates, our learners get 3 years of the post-study work visa instead of 1. That's something that students don't yet know about the upGrad Accelerator program, that we've tied up for a STEM degree, which is ABET accredited, which are, you know, so a very few institutions and courses are actually accredited by ABET, and our partner university, the Northern Arizona University for Computer Science, is actually ABET accredited. So 3 years of work visa in America, 3 years in Canada, 2 years in Australia, and some of our universities, but in University of Canberra, which is a regional university, we get them 3 years of work visa instead of 2 years, right? So that's something I think that your learners should be aware about. So we've also got a question for bachelor. So we've got University Canada West and Yorkville University, and soon we're going to be having TWU, which is called Trinity Western University. So we're also going to have TWU. So we'll in fact have 3 different universities in Canada, and of course every year we're going to be adding up some more. And I think the point to note here is that while you are enrolled in upGrad's accelerator program, you can also choose at the end of 1 year or the end of your 2 years in India, now where do you want to transition? So we can get you not just one offer letter from one of these universities, but all universities around the world from which your BBA track is linked, which is almost, now that we're looking at, is about 12 different universities in different parts of the world, right? There are about 4 in Australia, 3 in Canada, 2 in UK. I mean, 1 in the US already, and about 3 of them coming up. So almost 12 to 13 different universities is what we're looking at. So at the end of your year in India, you can choose between which country, and this is the degree that I want to do. Okay, and which majors do you want to pick? So out of 100 different majors, you can finally pick it. Or you can reverse engineer it, that, which industry am I likely to thrive in the most, and which country has a thriving economy in that industry, and then you choose that, hey, now that I know that this is where I want to end up, which campus do I pick up, and which faculty member is going to be the right one? Which university has the right faculty to be able to support my academic aspirations, right? So we've given you ample democratized setting to choose where do you fit in the best, right?
That's very interesting to know, sir, that first year students have the opportunity to explore and still choose, after year one, what country, what university to choose, depending upon the current climate. It's still uncertain where can students go and study. But with the opportunity that first after first year they can decide where to study, I think that is like really that's going to be great help for Indian students here.
In
So,
fact,
sir, go
we,
on.
we received a lot of these concerns regarding Australian universities that what if the borders don't open? And now that we've pursued, one full year with you, what do we do now? So I think it is in moments like these when upgrad accelerator program actually, addresses such gaps also, that if at the end of the year you feel that, hey, Australian borders may not open up, you can either defer, which is the next best thing for everybody, but you can also tell us that, hey, Australian borders didn't open up. Can you send me to one of the better universities in UK or Canada instead? So we can also move you after that year to any university partner that we have. So I think that also is one of the gaps that our model addresses, and they don't have to pay anything extra. They can still switch. So we can, by the end of 1 year, we can get them an offer letter from universities in the US and Canada, UK and Australia, directly accepting them into year 2 or year 3.
Yeah. That's great, sir. So, sir, one of the attendees has asked the question: can they directly do their after 12th direct bachelor's is available in Canada, so students can go to Canada right after their class 12, or do they have to do anything in between, any
So
examinations?
they can directly move to Canada also, which is one of our models. But if they want to spend uh, a year with us and save up on money, they can. So upgrad also gives you direct admission support. Any university in the world, we've got about 500 plus universities in all of these key parts of the world where most students look forward to studying, Canada, Australia, UK, the United States, Germany, other parts of the world. We have ample university partners, and you can also directly go abroad. But I think why it makes so much sense to go through the accelerator program is you directly enter the campus into year 2. You save up on money. You can work alongside your academic pursuits. You can also sort of do an internship. The fourth is that if you're not very sure about the fact that, hey, I want to go abroad, I want to build my career in Canada or the US or UK, but somehow I don't know which course do I take up. Somehow I don't know which majors or which specialization will I fit in. So the Indian system in which we incubate these kids for a year, we put them on an accelerator program, that allows them to actually realize, hey, now that I've studied about 12 different subjects in my semester 1 and 2, which one do I think works really well for me? And this is largely the majors I want to pick. And one of the options that learners should also know is that from the BBA track, we have a Bachelor of Accounting degree that emerges, Bachelor of Hospitality Management degree that emerges, Bachelor of Travel and Tourism that emerges, Bachelor of Commerce emerges. Similarly, from a BCA degree, Bachelor of Engineering emerges, Bachelor of Software Engineering emerges, Bachelor of Robotics and Network Engineering will emerge. Bachelor of, let's say, Business Informatics will emerge, which has artificial intelligence, machine learning. We've got IoT, data science, cloud computing. All of this is also a part of it. So I'm saying one single track can give them that many options.
Right, sir. And so my next question would be, why do you think Indian students are so inclined to study abroad? Like, what's the major reason students feel that the need that they want to study abroad? What kind of, lacks, what kind of gains that students can get when they plan to study abroad beyond the academics?
Right. Well, I think that is also one of the major factors, you know, which are kept in perspective when we say, the Indian market believes that masters is why you should go abroad, why we should start in India with your bachelor's, right? Uh, I think for any learners or for any students, academic as well as career success outside India, there has to be a very strong foundation on which it is built. That foundation entails a thorough understanding of the market dynamics, a thorough understanding of the industrial connections, your networking, a thorough understanding of the economics of that part of the world, a thorough understanding of the booming industries. And I think the biggest of them all is understanding how can I uniquely, with my skill set, fulfill or fill up a market gap here. How does the country's industrial needs and my skill set complement each other? So I think when you do a bachelor's degree, not only does the networking work for you. In those 4 years, you've done internships and you've done other hands-on experiences. You've done, short-term work. But also, I think you tend to be more aware of which unique skill set does this market need, and where do I now point my compass, and how do I capstone my education with a master's degree to not only champion my academic pursuits, but also how do I grow in terms of my vocation. So I'm saying going abroad for your bachelor's especially unlocks all of those hurdles or doors for you. You are able to build up that market foundation. And I think also now in these times, for a student who's done bachelor's and master's both in a specific part of the world, is highly accepted or is relatively more acceptable to a company than somebody with a master's degree alone. Because I think the more time you spend in a place, as long as it's outside India, you need some time to understand the dynamics. You need to understand the who's who. You need to understand, which industry am I built for here. So I think some of these things can only be achieved once you do bachelor's. Now, coming back to what you asked me, that why should you study abroad? I think it's a great cross-cultural learning opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I think your horizons open up once you move abroad. You meet all these diverse individuals from all parts of the world. That makes you believe that you're so little in how complex the world is, how diverse the world is, how much the world has to offer, but also makes you believe that, hey, the world is one at the end of the day. And, how is it that we think so different, but we also, our vocational paths may be singular, but where we all want to head is ubiquitously applicable to all of us, that we all want to succeed in different ways. I think having worked and studied abroad myself, I understood that there is so much that the world has to offer you. I think studying abroad is very challenging. It's very rigorous. It's very difficult, and it gets the best out of you. because it forces you to transcend your limits. I think it forces you to, level up to the pace of that country, to level up to the workforce of that place. And it sort of pushes you outside your comfort, convenience, and sort of, gives you a reality check every day that, hey, there is the whole world out there trying to make it big, and they've reached billions and billions of what their firms are earning every day. And you're still a student, and there's such a long way to go. So I think when you move abroad and you have some of the biggest role models studying with you on the campus or in that part of the world. I mean, if you're studying in the US, you've got Tesla there, you've got SpaceX, you've got Facebook there, you've got Google there, you've got Apple there. And all of these are so close to you. And you realize, hey, they're using the same opportunities, the same land, the same laws, the same education. And yet they're...
I think we've got a little bit of trouble.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry, there was a little lag in the video earlier. Yes, sorry. Anyway.
Let me know if you can hear me now. Yeah?
I can, yes.
So which is why it's so imperative, in my belief, to actually move out of India sometimes and receive the highest quality of education there is, not just because India can't offer it, and that's also not true anymore, but the fact that unless you move out of your native land, you don't really open up in terms of your individuality, in terms of your human capital, in terms of what more can you aspire to become and be. That is what.
Rightly said, sir. So sir, again, you already mentioned that, both are equally valued, doing your bachelor's in India and abroad. But given the current scenario, would you recommend students to kind of pursue their bachelor's in India or abroad? Like, what would be the factors students should consider when they're making that decision?
I think just give me a second. I think we've got a question. I'm from Tirupati going for bachelor. So we actually have a team in the entire country. So just one, I think I'm going to give you my email address. You can write to me. We have a team in the entire country, in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, in Maharashtra, in Jharkhand. Every part of India is covered. We've got Assam, we've got West Bengal, every part of India. So don't worry about it, right? I've sent you my email address. Now, ma'am, one of the biggest factors to consider is the return on investment, right? How much are you spending and what are you getting in return? Now, when it comes to how much are you spending, a normal Indian degree, you talk about these three universities that students can go to for their degrees. So we'll talk about VIT, which is Vellore Institute of Technology. Then we talk about Ashoka University or OP Jindal University. And then if you look at the master's case, we talk about IIM, right?
Yeah.
Now, just to give you a heads up, VIT would cost you about 18 lakhs of rupees for your 4-year of bachelor's degree. And the highest amount of money that you're going to be getting is about 6 to 8 lakhs a year on an average for an average kid. So you've spent 18 lakhs and it takes you 3 years to at least recuperate on that amount. You look at OP Jindal University, about 10 lakhs a year, 40 lakhs for 4 years. And what are you getting in return? I mean, on an average, you're getting salaries starting from 5, 6, 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs. So it still takes you 3 or 4 years to recuperate or to sort of get back the amount that you've initially invested, right? With that being said, I think if you look at doing an MBA from IIMs in India, it'll be another, say, 25 lakhs.
Yeah.
25 to 30 lakhs of rupees. And if you talk about the Indian School of Business, it's even way higher. So I'm saying it still takes you about 2 or 3 years after that to get back the money that you've invested. If you look at how we design how we designed upGrad's accelerator program, we brought the cost so low that if you're spending, let's say, in the US, all 4 years with us will cost about, let's say, close to about 30 to 35 lakhs for all 4 years combined, 4 lakhs with us and another 27 lakhs to 28 lakhs for both the years combined, right? And the starting salary goes up until 100,000 USD, 1 lakh USD. So that's almost 75 lakhs rupees. So not 2 years, but in that, after you're done with all 4 years, and first you're making double of what you spent in 4 years combined. Well, I mean, so that part is one factor, ROI. Second is, how supportive is the industry of it? So if you're studying artificial intelligence, Germany is the place to be. The US is the place to be, right? If you're studying computer science, the US is the place to be. You know, if you're going for business, then Australia, Canada are two that you can be looking at. Or but if you're studying finance and banking and all of this, then it's the UK. You know, so I'm saying you also have to be conscious about and mindful about, hey, what am I going to study and which part of the world is the best, after you've kept in mind the cost that's there attached to all the universities. And I think third most important factor is what happens after this. Do I get the requisite amount of post-study work visa that I need to actually build a good career, a good caliber? Can I actually know if I fit into their system or not at all? So that can only be, pragmatic or doable or feasible or viable if that country gives you enough time window to at least, explore different job opportunities and see where, you fit the best. With that said, I think that's also part of what you asked me, that if they're doing bachelor's, they have 3 years of work visa, then they do another master's, and then they get another 2 or 3 years of work visa, or 1 year of work visa, depending on how long is the master's in Canada or anywhere else in the world. But I think so. If you do bachelor's and master's both, you have a way longer access to that market by the time you get the PR, and then you're sure that, hey, I'm going to be able to build a good, stable career in that part of the world. So I think cost, the industrial, the different parts of the world that where my specific industry is booming or is growing or is disruptive, and the return on investment, and I think the post-study work setup, how supportive is it? And I think for studying abroad, these things will largely be factored in. But if you talk about universities, and there are 100 things that universities can be compared on.
Right, so thank you so much for answering that. We have someone who's raised their hand. If you want to ask your question, you can write it in the Q&A section and see your name.
So meanwhile, I'll also just write to them my email address that they can always get back on. So if you have any queries or any specific questions, if you want to go through a direct admission, or if you want to understand the bachelor's accelerator program a little better, you can always reach out to me on my email address. So 12th with biology, I think if you look at medical science, I think MBBS as a degree can be pursued in certain Asian countries right after school. In other parts of the world, you need a prerequisite to be actually enrolled in a med school. You need to have certain things in order. In most parts of the world, however, in the West, you need a graduation to actually pursue med. Right? So many things. But if you're looking at other things, I think with biology, so many life sciences degrees are coming. Gene informatics, biotechnology, so many things are now an option. Then you also got Bachelor of Business in Energy Management. Bachelor of Business now has given you so many majors options that you can take up that could definitely use energy or life sciences or biology uh, as a good foundation because you understand things a lot better, right? So I am saying, just give me 1 second. Right. So for instance, in our accelerator program, we have got a Bachelor of Business with majors in energy management in Canada, right? So that's mostly taken up by medical students. So I'm saying even if the child wants to switch fields, they can. But I think after the pandemic, especially, so many bio-related fields have opened up.
Right, sir. So does anyone else have any other questions? You can write to us in the Q&A section, sorry. And yeah, I think Pranita would be happy to answer them. And I think we're almost towards the end of the session. So yeah.
Sure. I think one of the things that I can also mention is that you can always visit www.upgradabroad.com to actually know a lot more about the accelerator programs that we offer. I'll just send you the website link. You can go to that website and also see which university partners do we work with, and you can be regularly posted on what degree options do we have for masters and for bachelors both, right? Do you guys have any questions at all?
I don't think we have any, sir. So I think this sort of brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much for your time, sir, and thank you for such valuable insights on higher education in US, Canada, and Australia. And thank you for coming up with initiatives like the accelerator program, which I think can be of great use and value for Indian students here. Thank you so much for that.
Well, I had a really good time, and I'm sure that I could create value for some of these students. And they can always get, they can also get a chance to be counseled by us at any point. We don't really charge for any of those services, and they can know if they're meant for, the accelerator programs better. So, I mean, if it's suited to their needs better, or they be going for a direct admission. These learners can always write to me on my mail, and we will make sure that we get back to them with all the requisite or necessary help that these students will need. I wish them all the best. And again, I'd like to thank you for hosting me.
Pleasure, sir. All right then. Thank you everyone for making it. Thank you, sir. And see you all on the next webinar. Bye.